or website, because the conversation doesn't stop.
Happy anniversary!
This is the final boarding call for flight 1259 departing from Los Angeles with destination to St. Louis. Thank you.
Damn, G, the spot's getting hot. So how the fuck am I supposed to make a knot? Police looking at it in the store microscope. In LA, everybody and their mama sells dope. They trying to stop it. So what the fuck can I do to make a profit? Catch a flight to St. Louis. That's cool, cause nobody knew us. We stepped off the plane. 4 gangbangers, professional crack slangers. Rented a car at wholesale. Drove to the ghetto and checked in a motel. Unpacked, then I grabbed a 380. Cause where we stand, look shady. But they can't face South Central. Cause busting the cap is fundamental. Keeping out every block close. Seeing which road will clock the most. Yeah, this is the one, no doubt. Bustin' you, Bone, and let's clear these niggas out.
Hey, man, what's up, niggas? This is Willis Lincoln, nigga.
Now clearing them out meant casualties. Still had the LA mentality. Bust a cap and out of there in a hurry. When you know, a drive-by in Missouri.
Welcome in. Happy Monday. You were locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. And we are in Gemini season. So it's only important that we shout out one of the West Coast forefathers as far as this hip-hop thing goes. Happy birthday to Ice Cube. Andy, I got a request. If we play another Cube track, me personally am asking, can we hear How to Survive in South Central? Hey. All right, listen. Of course, this is the show where we hit all the trending topics and headlines that are buzzing around your timeline, and tonight is no different. The weekend takes no time off. So, over the weekend, it was announced that Caroline Wanga versus Essence is a real thing in the courts. It's not just a lawsuit. It's a story about reputation, leadership, silence, Black cultural ownership, and what happens when a public institution lets the internet pick the villain. So Caroline Wanga was the president of Essence Ventures, and she took a lot of heat last summer over the Essence Music Festival and its lackluster showing. So, according to her and this lawsuit, she wasn't even employed by Essence at this point in time and had no involvement in the festival. Essence wanted her to hold back on making the announcement. So we'll get into those details and get your thoughts on it. You know, there's a lot happening there, especially the surrounding things that are around it. So speaking of lawsuits, wow, this sounds like it's a Law and Order episode. Goodness gracious. So Tyra Banks, she is suing Netflix over the America's Next Top Model documentary. So Tyra was not happy with it. She said that the headline is defamation, right? She's saying that Netflix's version of events, they're not quite it, right? It's a story about who gets to narrate the legacy of a show culture had already relitigated. We've talked about this ad nauseum about America's Next Top Model and how the look back and reflection of it has changed for a lot of people, right? So Tyra filed a lawsuit against Netflix, Everwonder Studio, and the directors tied to Reality Check Inside America's Next Top Model, alleging her 3.5-hour interview was reduced to about 16 minutes and edited in a way, she says, distorted her accountability and damaged her reputation. The lawsuit also centers on claims involving Shandy Sullivan and whether Tyra was given a fair chance to respond. Now, Shandy claims that she was, inebriated on the show. She had an interaction with someone which she dubbed cheating. Later, she said that she was drunk, out of her mind. She couldn't consent. So essentially saying that she was assaulted, right? And claimed that Tyra was pretty flippant about that happening. So she goes into that, right? America's Next Top Model was iconic. There were times when it was problematic, but you also have to keep in mind the business that it was supposed to be putting these women through their paces for. And it absolutely, in some instances, was a reflection of that. Oh, and it's for TV, right? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But two things can be true. And documentaries do have power, especially in this era. So editing is not necessarily always neutral. So you get to decide who gets to become the villain. And Tyra may have a point. Reality TV might have created the monster, but documentaries get to decide kind of sort of who gets the blame. We see that right now with Michael Jackson, The Verdict. For some, Sean Combs' The Reckoning. That was 50 Cent's doc. So we'll have to keep our eye on those cases to see, well, that case. And also, we are sending love and light to the Simmons family. They are grieving the death of Danny Simmons Jr. And if you are unsure of who Danny Simmons is, he is the older brother of Russell and Rev Run Simmons. And he is one of the artists who helped shape the family's creative foundation. Danny Simmons Jr. was an abstract painter, author, philanthropist, and the older brother of Russell and Rev Run. He passed away at 72. He co-founded the Rush Philanthropic Arts Foundation in 1995 and was also connected to Def Poetry Jam. Russell described him as the true artist in the family. So we know hip-hop history is full of people who were not always the loudest or the brand name, but helped build the ecosystem. And Danny was obviously there and was the arts to infrastructure within the Simmons family talent tree. So every famous family has someone that helped build the roots. So we send love and light to him. When we come forward, we're going to get into these trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Joel Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
99, baby. I'm on the grind, baby. All the time, baby. Show me something.
You can do it, put your back into it.
I can do it, put your into it.
You can do it, put your back into it.
I can do it, put your into it.
Put your back into it.
Put your into it. Tick, tick, boom, hear me banging down these back streets.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
For adults with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms, every choice matters. Tremfya offers self-injection or intravenous infusion from the start. Tremfya is administered as injections under the skin or infusions through a vein every 4 weeks, followed by injections under the skin every 4 or 8 weeks. If your doctor decides that you can self-inject Tremfya, proper training is required. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions, increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them, and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or need a vaccine. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Number 14. That's where Talkers Magazine ranked Tavis Smiley on their heavy 100 list of the 100 most important talk radio hosts in America. Join Tavis weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon or 9 p.m. to midnight. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Let's celebrate.
Y'all did it.
Loving each other, needing each other.
Hey, Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580 is turning 5, and we're celebrating in a big way.
Oh my God.
Join us Friday, June 19th, Juneteenth, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Beehive for our 5th anniversary bash and Juneteenth celebration.
Oh, celebrate.
We're talking surprise celebrity guests, a special presentation, and a major announcement you will not want to miss.
I can't wait to hear it.
Plus, live music, dancing, games, and enough food and drink to keep the party going.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Of course, you're welcome to bring your own picnic basket, blanket, and lawn chair. And the best part, it's completely free. But here's the thing. You've got to sign up in advance. Space is limited, so don't wait. Head to KBLA1580.com right now and lock in your spot. Friday, June 19th, The Beehive, KBLA Talk 1580. 5 years strong, and we're just getting started.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Yeah, man.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
And now, the wondrous world of...
Hey, come to Los Angeles where you and your family can have peace and tranquility. Enjoy our fine beaches and fun in the...
Hello, my name is Elaine, and I'll be your tour guide through South Central Los Angeles.
How to survive in South Central? A place where busting the cap is fundamental. No, you can't find the rules in a handbook. Take a close look at a rap crook. Rule number 1, get yourself a gun, a 9 in your butter beef bun. Keep it in your glove compartment, cause jackers, they love to get it started. Now if you're white, you can trust the police, but if you're black, they ain't nothing but beef. Watch out for the kill. Don't make a false move and keep your hands on the steering wheel. Don't get smart, answer all questions. And that's your first lesson on staying alive in South Central, yeah. That's how you survive.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with your South Central reporter for the evening, Jill Munroe, right here live from Lamert Park on KBLA Talk 1580. Happy birthday, Cube. You know, we might have some questions, but shout out to the legendary. That is Cube. All right, listen. If you're new around here and you want to get in on the conversation, 800-920-1580. That's the number that you can dial. You can also hit us up on social media, KBLA 1580. I'm at Stiletto Jill everywhere. Or hop in the YouTube chat with the VIPs. Shout out to them. The conversation is always buzzing over there. Get into it. All right, first up, Caroline Wanga sues Essence. When silence becomes the statement. That's what I feel like this one is giving. Listen, Caroline Wanga is suing Essence. And a big question for me is not just whether her name was damaged. Seems like it kind of was. It is whether a black cultural institution for black women let a black woman take the public beating for a festival she says she did not even run. That would be interesting, no? All right, listen. This is about whether Essence had a duty legally, culturally, or morally to tell the public Caroline Wanga was not involved in the 2025 Essence Festival backlash before the internet turned her into the face of failure. So Caroline Wanga is the former CEO of Essence Ventures. She filed a defamation lawsuit against Essence Ventures and their parent company, Sundial Media and Technology Group. Her legal team says the complaint is filed and alleges that leadership failed to correct the public narrative that she was directly involved in the planning or execution of the criticized 2025 Essence Music Festival. According to reports, Wanga's complaint says that she has been on leave since September of 2024. She reached an agreement to leave Essence on March 31st, 2025. She says that she was not involved in the festival in any capacity. The festival happened July of 2025 after she was already out of the company. Essence disputes the lawsuit and says it intends to defend itself against what it calls baseless claims. The complaint argues that the criticism went beyond the festival operations and into personal attacks. And I think we saw that. Wanga alleges that she was targeted because she's Kenyan, including claims that she was crashing and erasing Black American heritage. and comments telling her to go back to Africa. That is the part where, it's not just about corporate communications. It starts to talk about cultural identity and that fight. We've all seen the diaspora wars online. We have seen them specifically as it relates to the Essence Music Festival, which started because there were things like Jolliffe versus Black Eyed Peas or something like that, and they were bringing Afro beats into the mix of Essence Festival, and some felt it wasn't a fit and that they were excluding their core base. So, listen, Essence's position is that it did not make it clear that Wanga was not involved. They're saying that they did make it clear, and that the core allegation that Essence failed to correct her lack of involvement as a company, but they said they made it immediately clear that she was not involved. I don't recall that distinction, but who knows, right? This is where the conversation gets a little messy, but important, because Essence is not just a brand. It is a brand for Black women. It has been a beauty counter, church fan, career mirror, family reunion, fashion archive, all of the things, right? Political thermometer, whatever you want to throw in there, it has represented in some form or fashion for Black women. At least it was supposed to. So when Essence Festival goes sideways, and it is with the male owner that is also not Black American, people are going to raise red flags, right? So the question becomes actually who gets blamed when a Black institution disappoints Black people. And it does kind of feel as though Wanga was left out there to take on the blame, because she was, that was a very short work span for her there. She came in, and it seems like she almost immediately, not too long into her tenure, went on leave and never came back, right? She also became the face of bigger frustration, the Target sponsorship concerns. She came from Target, so that is why a lot of people put that blame on her, not realizing that when you make these overarching sponsorship deals, generally they have happened years in advance. So we'll see. But festival production complaints, questions around the programming, as I mentioned, the African framing of some, and then the long-running tension about who gets the main stage in those seats. Are they pushing for the youth, or should they be sticking to the trieds and trues, right? If she was not running the festival, why was the public so slow to know clearly? I feel as though the way the public was dealing, that would have come up. Essence is being judged not just as a company, but as a cultural steward. And you have to keep that in mind. And her positioning in that, it did put her in a bad light as the CEO or president. I'm sorry, I'm jacking up her role. You are supposed to know the cultural pulse of your target audience for an event. And if that was way off and now she's trying to move around, it could be a ding on her as she goes off to her next venture, right? When the audience decides that someone is the symbol of the problem, facts matter little. We've seen this time and time again, Facts are not over feelings in most of these instances, right? But a public exit also matters, right? In entertainment, media, corporate culture, when a CEO quietly leaves or is on leave and the company does not make the timeline plain, that vacuum becomes real estate for gossip, for, other type of conversations to set in, right? And somebody's going to take advantage of it. And Essence has always had two audiences: the consumer audience that sees the festival, the covers, it's empowerment language for them, right? And the business audience that looks at ownership, sponsorship, executive transactions, brand partnerships, and who controls the money. Wanga's lawsuit is somewhere in between both of those, just by the nature of how all of this rolled out. And this is why Richelieu Dennis as a bridge matters. He's the founder of Sundial Brands, obviously, and now the owner behind Essence Ventures. And he recently appeared on The Breakfast Club, where he was discussing the backlash from the 2025 festival, and about leveraging failures and what is coming up for the 2026 festival. The interview is naturally the second half to this story. While Wanga is saying my name was left out there, Dennis is now publicly trying to explain where the brand goes moving ahead, right? And you can't have one conversation without the other. Because again, somebody has to take the hit, I guess. So let's get into this conversation that he had recently on The Breakfast Club and hear what he had to say about Essence and their direction.
A lot of black institutions have had to answer the question, how do we evolve without losing our soul? Is that one of the challenges? Essence
No.
right now?
No. Ours is not a soul problem.
Okay.
Right? It's how do we evolve without losing a generation or two. Right? Because if you think about it, at the core of it, who we serve are black women, right? And we are hyper focused on that, right? And you and your children and your mother and your grandmother all care about the same things, but in different ways.
Yeah.
Right? And so our job is to make sure that the things that you all care about are represented, but that you can experience it in different ways, right? And that's where it's hard, right? Because if you do something this way, it's like, oh, now you're focused on young people, you're not focused on who got you here, right? If you do too much here, oh, Essence is old, is not, right? And at the end of the day, if you don't have this evolution, then where do your daughters go? Where do your children, where do your children go, right? Where's the pride that comes and sits on your coffee table, once a month or once every 3 months or, quarterly or annually, whatever. Where's that pride? Where do you physically see yourself in a publication that is talking about the things that you care about, not just about your dress and not just about your hairstyle, right? Those things are important, but the things that fuel you, the things that challenge you, the things that develop you, right? There's got to be a safe space for that. That's what Essence is. And then you see that manifest in live experiences, right? And so it's not a soul question for us. It is a generational question, right? And we've got to make sure that we build a big enough boat that all generations can feel respected, wanted, and loved. And so you see that even with the lineup. We go everything from Cardi B to George
Patti
Clinton,
LaBelle.
Patti LaBelle,
Babyface,
George Clinton, Leon Thomas, right? So we're curating a cultural experience every year, which becomes harder and harder to do as people steal more and more of our culture and represent it as their own. Ooh.
So I find it interesting that he brought up people stealing culture, because that is what some of the critics have felt about the infusion of more of the diaspora. I don't think that it's a bad thing, but I think it is a hard position to be in, and it's something I feel that uniquely happens for us as black people. I mean, other races go through it, but I feel like it's different, where our one thing has to be all things to everyone, and it's unrealistic, right? I don't think that everything necessarily has to convert for a youthful audience. However, if that thing wants to grow, it has to attract a younger audience. So I think, too, it should cause for some patience on our parts as consumers, or exercise our options for other things. But the expectation for one event to be everything, I think, is ridiculous, and at this current time period, unrealistic. Andy?
When there was controversy with, I don't know if it was Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B performing, and people were, all the aunties were upset that why do we have this ratchetness? Was Wanga at the top, at the helm at this point?
No, I don't believe she was even. She may not have been at the company yet.
Okay.
She may have been there, but no, she wasn't the president.
So Essence has been making some misses years even prior, before Wanga to a degree.
Before Wanga, a lot have been noted since Richard took over, which I believe happened in about 2018, 2019, somewhere around there.
Sounds like the marketing department needs to work some overtime and maybe conduct some focus groups. You know what I'm saying? Tap into the community and see what it is that they want, and really make Essence Fest for the people.
Indeed. Right now, a lot of the things sound like, the same stuff we hear from everybody. Black women, empower, joy. And those aren't bad things. But at this point in time, whereas 15, 20 years ago, it might have been a differentiator, currently it is not, Essence has, I don't know if there's as much, brand equity, but Black women have memory equity. And, we're going to keep the screenshots. We're going to remind you of what happened. So we'll see what happens moving forward with this lawsuit, as well as what the response is this summer for the upcoming Essence Music Festival. I know Brandy and Monica are performing, Patti LaBelle, some others, as he mentioned.
They better have Young Miami performing too.
I mean, that is the song of the summer. Speaking of, I am remiss because I forgot. Congratulations to the New York Knicks. They are world champions. Jalen Brunson is now probably the greatest Knick of all times. He turned down more money to make sure that they could pay others. Real teamwork. He got in there and did what a champion does, right? Put him on his back, hung 40 on him. And he's also the first NBA player to win the Finals MVP, the NBA Cup MVP, and the NBA Cup title, as well as an NBA title. So look at there. When we come forward, more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Knowing that you lying, we don't go for the hype. Catch up from behind, yeah, they know I'm a snipe. Suck it when I drive, baby, know what I like. Spread it nice and wide, let me go for a dive. Who going up tonight?
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Florida Senators Rick Scott and Ashley Moody joined other officials at the Florida Holocaust Museum to denounce two scheduled Kanye West concerts.
Raymond James Stadium is a publicly funded venue. Taxpayers should have a say in what happens. It's actually their money.
West is scheduled to perform June 26th and 28th after previously apologizing in a Wall Street Journal ad. Jury selection is beginning in Peyton Gendron's federal death penalty trial. He's already serving life without parole for killing 10 black people in the 2022 racist mass shooting at a Buffalo Tops supermarket. Jurors will decide if he should be executed. And former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama are in Chicago ahead of the grand opening celebration for the Obama Presidential Center on the South Side. The Obama Foundation is a nonprofit collaborator of the Black Information Network. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Red Card penalty. Score big flavor with Waba Grill's new Red Card combo for a limited time. A mini sweet and spicy chicken bowl, chili crisp dumplings, and a refreshing penalty punch for a beverage with mango popping boba. An all-star lineup for just $9.99. Only at Waba Grill.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Very interesting day for the World Cup here in Los Angeles. Tonight at 6 at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, Iran makes its World Cup debut. Iran takes on New Zealand in a first-round matchup. With Iran involved in a military conflict with the U.S., a lot of eyes will be on this match to see how the Iranian team will be received at SoFi. Last week, U.S. Customs officials banned 14 members of Iran's traveling party from entering the U.S. The Iran-New Zealand match will have live coverage on Fox Sports 1 or Telemundo. The Dodgers are back in town tonight to start a 3-game homestand against Tampa Bay. The Dodgers lost 2 of 3 in Chicago to the White Sox. The 3-game series on the South Side averaged 38,000 fans. The White Sox are in first place in the American League Central. The Dodgers are 18 games over 500 and have a 7-game lead over San Diego in the NL West. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
5 years. Thousands of hours of talk radio that doesn't flinch. One station that calls it like it is. Every single day. KBLA Talk 1580, where progressive isn't a buzzword, it's a promise. We're celebrating 5 years of fighting for the right side of history, and we're not done. Catch us at 1580 AM or stream us live on the KBLA 1580 app or website, because the conversation doesn't stop.
Happy anniversary!
Every voice matters, especially the ones they told to be quiet. This is KBLA Talk 1580. 1580.
All I need is one mic. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. We continue our look at what is happening and what is not happening along the Destination Crenshaw corridor. Last time we talked about the promises made to this community. Today we talk about the reality on the ground, and it is not pretty. Let's start with something as basic as a visit to the vet. Customers of the local veterinary clinic right next door to this studio are forced to park blocks away and carry their sick and injured animals through conditions that no pet owner or sick animal should have to endure. Why? Because the construction has blocked access to the vet's parking lot for years now. The vet is losing clients, the vet is losing revenue, and frankly, who can blame these customers for not coming back? This is but one example of a small black-owned business being quietly strangled, and nobody at City Hall seems to notice or care. And the conditions along this corridor, they are not just an eyesore, they are a health hazard. Unsanitary conditions and repeated health code violations are doing exactly what you would expect, inviting vermin into our neighborhood, rodents, pests, the kind of infestation that does not stay in one place. It spreads into homes, into restaurants, into our daily lives for years now. Then there is this. The houseless are finding refuge in the construction cubbyholes and unfinished spaces left wide open along this project. These are precious human beings, to be sure, in desperate situations. But this is also a safety and liability crisis that the city created and has yet to address for years now. In our prior editorial, trying to save some space for grace, we did not call his name. But after a full week of running the editorial hourly, highlighting the myriad delays, business losses, health violations, safety concerns, and more, we have heard absolutely nothing from City Council President Marquise Harris Dawson. Nothing. Not a word. The council member who represents this district has gone silent. You see why we call this project Procrastination, Crenshaw? And so I repeat, Crenshaw deserves better. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback. Now,
you're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I got 100, the 100. I'm from New York, New York. I got a that spits next time if you talk, you talk. I got 100, the 100. I'm from New York, New York. I got a that spits next time if you talk, you talk. And I know this is with 90. Your monologues getting tired, now it's time to ride. To print this, you fired, you no longer desire. So take off them silly chains, put back on your wire. I'm on fire.
Listen, if you have any friends that are New York Knicks fans, they are going to be impossible for the next
the sky blue.
38 days, probably longer. 38 years, really. They got one. The hard way, out the mud.
Is the Knicks America's team?
I think they are right now because they did it the hard way, right? They have superstars, but not superstars right now, right?
I don't know. You didn't lay out a resume for a young man, a young small gentleman, young 1A gentleman.
100%. Jalen Brunson is like he can eat free, go free, sleep free. He can do whatever he wants in New York now.
Statue.
He's the king of New York right now.
That statue needs to be up tomorrow.
Facts. The parade is later this week. They're going to be on Thursday. Mm-hmm. They're going to be on the Tonight Show tonight.
Man, they was on Good Morning America this morning.
So they're doing their thing. They're making their rounds, It's a gritty story. I think every game from the last, 5 or 6 games, they were down at halftime.
They were down every game.
So, what do you want? Out the mud, worked hard, ultimate teamwork.
Yeah.
And Jordan Woods gets a win. She got the ring, she got the man, she got the lucky bag, and she beat the Kardashians.
Hilarious. This kind of exposed the coaching from San Antonio a little bit. They showed their youth, with the coach not necessarily making certain adjustments. I felt like he could have leaned on some of his vet players who actually played, in finals. Harrison Barnes, Cornette. But, it's not their time right now. They have to show. I think this experience for the Spurs will show them how to actually close games. Because
I think so.
They were up double digits every game.
Listen, they're going to be haunted by that 29-point failure for the rest of their lives.
Reminded me when the Lakers lost a 24-point lead against the Celtics. Yeah. What was that? 2008. We should have won that series.
Yeah. The big three shouldn't have got
Shout
that. But oh well.
Knicks.
Big ups to them. Listen, orange and blue for everybody. All right. So this next topic, we've talked about it in pieces, but we're going to hear from Sheryl Underwood, right? We know that during the Kevin Hart roast, she was the target for a few of the jokes. Basically, when her her deceased husband, I should say, committed suicide. And Sheryl also reveals some other kind of disturbing information that was shared with her about jokes that were planned for that night. But her position might not be what you expect it to be. She's reminding people that roast comedy is not church testimony and that everybody laughs different and the joke feels different when it lands on someone you respect. So, once again, the Breakfast Club. I don't know why. That's just today's vibe. But let's listen to what Sheryl had to say because there's a lot there.
Tony Hinchcliffe walks up to me and he says, "I'm Tony Hinchcliffe." I said, "What's up?" He said, "Well, I'm on the roast with you," because they didn't want us to know who was on it, but I knew some people were coming. Mm-hmm. I said, and I just asked him, I said, "How you coming?" He said, "Well, I'm going to talk about your husband killing himself and you being raped."
Why did you agree
to
that?
Jesus Christ. It's not that I agree.
Okay.
Not that I agree. Can I, just as a comic, say to you what you can and cannot say? Mm-hmm. I can't. I can only make a recommendation. Mm-hmm. Wow. But I can't tell you. I can't say, if we on a show together, I can't say to her, "Don't tell the whoop-de-whoop-wop-de-wop joke." Mm-hmm. I can say, "Well, I'm going to tell some jokes similar." But I'm the type of comic that if we doing the same type of material, right, if we both doing jokes, right, and which that's my one good skill. Yeah. I know how.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, sir.
Yeah. I know how to put them to sleep. What surgery are we doing today? I lay on that. Are we taking appendix out? Let's go, right? But I can't tell you don't do oral sex jokes. Mm-hmm. But if I'm a good leader and I'm hosting the show, I do my jokes behind your joke. That makes the show stronger. So
that's not an equivalent of your husband killing himself and you being
racist. But I can't agree to that. It's in the public domain that my husband committed suicide. I talked about it. I talked about it on the talk. It's in the public domain. The way they roast now, whatever's in the public domain, they feel they should be able to say it, and they're making a lot of money off of it. But here's the thing. To talk about, and I felt a lot of people, you a coon, and they love to throw that shit around. You a coon. Here's the thing. If you can use it to talk about certain things, use it to talk about mental illness in black men. That my husband committed suicide. You don't have to just uplift the jokes they told by criticizing them, because it's all clickbait. Then if you want to talk about me being raped, you talk about sexual violence. I talked about it. I talked about that it was some street dudes that was very protective of me, and they said if we find him did it, we gonna kill him. I was like, hey man, don't do that on my behalf. But that is sexy as mug. That's thorough. That you were gonna do that for me, right? So I've talked about it. So it's not I'm not in concurrence or agreement of it, and I don't even know how it's coming, right? I just know they respected me enough to walk up to me and say, "That's how we coming."
So when he said that, how did you respond?
Yeah, what did you respond? I said, I looked at him. I like, so what the fuck you want? And I said just like that, what the fuck you want? He said, well, what you feel? I said, it better be funny. I said, it better be funny. If it ain't funny, I'm gonna get your. I said, I'll get you. I said, but I smiled at him. I said, listen, do what you got to do. Why? Because I know these manosphere comics are getting out there. That's why I said what I said. You're bringing back words that when we were using them, we got canceled. So what is funnier, midget or little people? What is funny, retarded or disabled? Right? So you move so far politically correct that they pushed it back. So now they get to use words. But it's about accountability. For me, the George Floyd joke, I was like, you a trip, right? But then I also thought, and I told Tony, when I went and did Kill Tony, I said, listen to me. I asked him, I said, you want to record something with me? And I was wearing this shirt, and I wore it today specifically. You know what date this is?
1831.
Nat Turner. Nat Turner.
Yeah.
So listen, sometimes you can lead to rebellion in a different way, right? So my feeling was, you ain't got to deal with me. You got to deal with the George Floyd family. You got to deal with those in the community that love George Floyd. You got to deal with somebody walking up to you throwing hands, and you can't do shit about it because you was a little. What you gonna do? Because you told the joke. Now be held accountable for the joke. I don't want my laughing on a roast panel to be misconstrued as anything other than these are my colleagues. This is how they roast nowadays. It's not like Dean Martin and Pearl Bailey and Phyllis Diller. Milton Berle told some of the best jokes in the world. Why? Because he had a big, and he's not attractive in the face, but he was blowing the backside of all them starlets in the 40s and the 50s. The Friars Club roast, sure did. Used to, and Friars Club roasts were private events where we were ragging on each other. When comics talk about each other, it's misogynistic, it's racial, it's racist, it's borderline. But they make a lot of money on the type of humor they do, which is bigotry and racist and racial, right? They making a force. They selling out stadiums doing this.
Can black people do that to them is the question that I think a lot of people
Yes,
have.
we can. Yes, we can.
Why don't more black people do it? Like, why don't they make jokes about their community and things that they consider taboo?
We do.
Okay.
We do. Paul Mooney was walking out of Caroline. Out of Caroline. The white people cousin Paul. They be like, I never will. You will today.
I seen it firsthand. I seen it a few times.
Yeah, Caroline.
I seen Paul. I think white people get up and leave.
Yes.
And Paul be like, yes. He be so happy.
Get the fuck out. Right. That's right. One of the first jokes I wrote was, what go good with chili?
Crackers.
Now that you done brought up white people, let's talk about that.
Okay. All right. So there was a lot there, and Sheryl obviously is defending a comedian's right to work the room. But the audience has questions about where the joke lines touch, as I mentioned, for someone that you respect. Lunel came into the chat, the comments under this clip, and basically said, I have a right to say what goes on when it comes to me being involved in the joke. And there are several other people that took that stance and disagreed with Sheryl's stance. So we'll see. It will continue to be a discussion because there are more Netflix roasts headed our way for sure. And, comedy is going through a different a changeover, and we see the reaction with Drewski's comedy and different things. So we're relearning what's appropriate and what's funny. We'll get into more when we come forward. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good at reading you. I spent like 10,000 hours. I must have bought you 10,000 flowers, ignoring red flags and audibles. I even bought your daughter clothes and your father clothes. And I bought you diamonds, even though I got a heart of gold. And on your enemies we rode. I go Picasso Art Award. We a different pedigree. I did some foul, then crossed the line. You seen to petty me. I never gave you infidelity or tried to wreck your credibility. I'm not your ex. I'm your ex.
Are you ready for the hottest entertainment scoop in Los Angeles? She's bringing you exclusive interviews with today's biggest stars, behind-the-scenes Hollywood insights, and all the entertainment news you need to know. She's breaking down what's trending, what's ending, and what's just beginning in the world of entertainment. You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
'Are you ready for the hottest entertainment scoop in Los Angeles? She's bringing you exclusive interviews with today's biggest stars, behind the scenes Hollywood insights, and all the entertainment news you need to know. She's breaking down what's trending, what's ending, and what's just beginning in the world of entertainment. You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
If you're an African American mom who is pregnant or have a baby under 6 months old, you deserve care that lifts, listens, and lasts. Black Infant Health is for you. It's a free program with individual support, group sessions, and resources to start your mothering journey. BIH makes space for moms and their families to create community. Learn more about the programs in Los Angeles County. Check us out at blackinfanthealth.org.
Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way. Don't be anxious or confused about AI. Take control of your career when you get the skills to tackle real business problems and design specialized solutions. HR Dive reported that entry-level talent with applied AI credentials can receive up to a 25% salary boost. But where do you find training that you can trust? Future-proof your career and deliver more value with Humans Lead the Way AI. Their hybrid learning courses use practical definitions, real-world examples, and strategic insights to help you and your team understand AI with confidence. No magic, no hacks, no shortcuts. Just practical knowledge that helps you use AI more successfully. Don't wait. AI can never replace people who know how to use it well. Register for courses today at humansleadtheway.com. That's humansleadtheway.com.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Happy Black Music Month. We're still in Black Music Month. Come on, George Clinton Parliament last night. Really, George Clinton was the foundation, he and James Brown, low-key, for a lot of the 80s hip-hop. If you think about it, West Coast, especially for George. All right, listen, back on these trending topics and headlines, shout out to Sheryl Underwood. I appreciate her approach. That's being fearless, and a lot of people can't say that now. Would I have handled it as such? Probably not. I don't know. But big ups to her for handling it in a way that she saw fit, but still moving her message forward. All right, last, Andy.
Now, you said there's going to be more roasts on Netflix, correct?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Do you foresee any, black comedians participating in any of these roasts?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yeah, but so one, it depends on who the subject is, but two, most of the people, like Lunel said, she did not participate because she doesn't get down with roast, and she, had something else to do. Respect to that. But a lot of these people also would like a Netflix comedy special. Kevin Hart just launched a new competition series where they are going to Chicago, New York, and here in Los Angeles to find the next comedic superstar. And so they're in business together. They're in business together to find new talent. So I absolutely think that people will participate. How many people are going to say no to appearing on something that could potentially be streaming to millions and billions of people around the world?
I'm curious if they would use this as a learning experience, whether it's, comedians, whether it's Netflix, is it a situation where they're going to start, vetting jokes before, it's aired or whatnot? Is this going to empower baby Tony Hinchcliffe's out there? Like, hey, if Tony Hinchcliffe can say this, I can go ahead and say it too. Look at the ruckus that it caused. You know what I'm saying? Hey, all publicity is good publicity in my case. You know what I'm saying? My name is out there.
Absolutely, until he meets a Mike Tyson that punches him in the mouth, right? Right.
We waiting for somebody to
right. It
I don't
happened.
think nobody's gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? I really think that we are in grifting season. And for me, on the looking at the landscape or whatnot, I don't know. I'm giving folks grace. And I bring that up because, we had an event yesterday too at the White House, UFC. I don't know if you was gonna touch on that or whatnot, but I want to touch on one individual in particular, our brother Terrence Bud Crawford, and all the backlash that he's getting, and I'm just kind of like, damn, like I understand honoring and respecting the presidency,
highest office,
you know what I'm saying, and low key, that's the vibe that I'm getting from him. This is a combat sport event. He's a combat athlete himself. Maybe he got friends who's out there, but it's like I can't even go to an event without being. Now he's a sellout. Now are we canceling Bud Crawford now?
I mean, people are drawing very heavy lines when it comes to all of this, and so I say do your own assessment, do with that what you will, and where you feel your personal boundaries lie as far as participation in activities and so forth.
What did Terrence Bud Crawford say to old boy off the pivot? Now we know where your
now we know where your soul or your price or something like that, right?
I guess you could say the same thing to Bud.
You can. I
still got love for him though.
I mean, hey, he does what he does. You respect what he does. But this is why, honestly, back in the day, they suggested to leave politics and religion out of entertainment, because the reality is you might love your person as an artist. You may hate who they are in real life.
And I think the reality is in 2026, it doesn't matter what what your craft is or what your trade is. You existing is politics in itself, and I think that's where we're at right now. You know what I'm saying? We want to keep it separate, but we cannot in these times. It doesn't matter. Your representation in your particular field is politics in itself.
It is. We'll see. We will continue to have this conversation. All right. Well, before we get to the final story of the night, let me tell you what's going on here with KBLA, because I know that you're excited about this, because we are too. KBLA Talk 1580 is turning 5, and we're celebrating with you. Join all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts this Friday, June 19th, for our anniversary bash and Juneteenth celebration at the Beehive from 4 to 7 p.m. Food, drinks, a DJ, dancing, games, and more. Plus LA Mayor Karen Bass, the one and only Lunel, we were just speaking of her, and the Grammy Award-winning Kenny Lattimore, plus a few other surprises, will be in the building. The Beehive is definitely the place to be this Juneteenth, and our community celebration is free. You hear that? No dinero. But you must register at KBLA1580.com, and we're encouraging folks to ride share. because, you know, parking can get tricky in some areas. But however you arrive, just get there. We look forward to celebrating our 5th anniversary with you this Friday. All right, last up, really quickly, DMX finally got a street named in his honor in Yonkers, New York, but the ceremony turned into a public mess because legacy gets complicated when family, estate power, and history are not all fully together on that stage, right? So the DMX tribute became bigger than the street sign because his first family, his fiance, his children, and the real estate dynamics all collided in public on this stage, right? The late Earl DMX Simmons was honored with Earl DMX Simmons Way. And this was during the ceremony when his eldest son, Xavier, took the microphone and said there was absolutely no way the ceremony would close without hearing from DMX's original family. He invited his mother, Tashira Simmons, and siblings on stage, credited Tashira with helping push the street naming effort, and directly called out DMX's fiance, Desiree Lindstorm, before his microphone was reportedly cut. So Tashira defended her son Xavier publicly and said there's no X without Tashira. And she framed the issue as one of recognition and history, not just ceremony protocol, right? And legacy events are delicate. The public remembers an icon. The family remembers the human being. And the estate is looking at that paperwork. So it's a lot that happens. All right, you guys, you know, I'll be back here tomorrow, Tuesday, 6 p.m. for more trending topics and headlines. Coming up next is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. Facts, context, and culture. That's what we give you on this show. I'm out.
If I thought y'all really wanted drama, I'd have been pulled out the armor. Word to my mama. Hit ya for something that you ain't never felt. Hit ya for frontin' you caught up in that hell. If I thought that half the shit that said was true, I'd be spitting lead at you, the danger crew. But if you know it, you don't listen to that. You don't argue with that. All you do is this. But listen to all this that's running their mouth, I wouldn't be in the crib, I'd be loading up to run in your house. But you can't with cowards, cause a coward to be a coward. Killing up cowards, killing up cowards. If I let them around my way tell me how to feel.